Have you ever noticed that as you've grown older, conversations about feelings seem to happen less often? Maybe you used to share your joys, worries, and dreams freely, but now you find yourself holding back, keeping things inside, or simply nodding along without saying much. If that feels familiar, you are not alone. Many seniors experience this shift, not because they've become cold or indifferent, but because life, experience, and psychology shape the way we express ourselves over time. The reasons go beyond habit. Over decades, you've accumulated life experiences, some joyful, some painful, that influence when, how, and to whom you reveal your inner world. Emotional energy becomes precious, and peace often outweighs the need to talk. Social circles shrink, and sometimes the world seems less willing to truly listen. In this quiet space, many older adults discover something unexpected: that silence can be a form of wisdom, protection, and self-respect. In this video, we'll explore the psychology behind why many seniors stop talking about their feelings. You'll learn that it's normal, natural, and often a reflection of deeper insight rather than withdrawal. By the end, you'll see that holding back words doesn't mean holding back heart, and that understanding this can bring comfort to both seniors and those who love them. As we age, the way we communicate changes, not because we lose our feelings, but because life reshapes how we choose to express them. Many older adults notice that they share less about their inner world, not out of indifference, but because priorities shift. Emotional energy becomes more limited, and peace often outweighs the desire for conversation. Generational and cultural factors also play a role. Many seniors grew up in times when expressing emotions was seen as weakness or inappropriate. Men were often taught to stay strong, and women to keep calm and carry on. These lessons, absorbed over decades, naturally influence how comfortable someone feels opening up in later life. Additionally, life experience teaches selectivity. Over the years, friendships change, some relationships fade, and social circles shrink. Not every conversation is worth the emotional energy, and not everyone is equipped to truly listen. These shifts are normal, and they reflect wisdom, self-respect, and the careful management of energy rather than withdrawal or apathy. Understanding these dynamics helps us see that when seniors speak less about their feelings, it is often a conscious choice for inner balance and protection, rather than a sign of emotional loss. As people grow older, the accumulation of life experiences profoundly shapes how they express their emotions. Over decades, everyone encounters moments of betrayal, disappointment, or misunderstanding, some small, some significant. These experiences quietly leave their mark, influencing how comfortable seniors feel, sharing their inner thoughts and feelings. Emotional vulnerability can feel risky after years of seeing trust broken or good intentions overlooked. Chloe, an 81-year-old woman, once loved hosting lively dinner parties every weekend. Her home was filled with laughter, music, and conversation. Over the years, however, things changed. Friends moved away, confidences were betrayed, and the passing of loved ones left empty spaces. It wasn't a single devastating event, but rather a series of small disappointments that taught Chloe to protect her emotional world. She began to share her feelings only with those she trusted completely. Psychologists refer to this as relational fatigue, a subtle emotional exhaustion that arises when the effort to maintain connections outweighs the joy they bring. For many seniors, the cost of opening up repeatedly only to be misunderstood or dismissed leads to a natural withdrawal from casual sharing. This does not mean a lack of caring or empathy. It reflects wisdom earned through years of experience. The decision to limit emotional sharing allows seniors to preserve their energy for meaningful interactions. By being selective, they focus on relationships that truly nurture their well-being and let go of connections that drain them. Silence becomes a tool for self-preservation, enabling older adults to maintain dignity and inner peace while honoring the depth of their experiences. In this way, withdrawing from frequent emotional expression is less about avoidance and more about careful stewardship of one's inner life. It is a form of emotional intelligence, born from the lessons of decades spent loving, caring, and navigating the complexities of human relationships. By understanding this, we can appreciate that when seniors speak less about their feelings, it is often a deliberate choice rooted in reflection, protection, and wisdom rather than indifference or coldness. As people age, one of the most common reasons they hesitate to share their feelings is the fear of being a burden. After decades of independence, responsibility, and caregiving, many seniors internalize the belief that expressing worries, needs, or vulnerabilities could inconvenience the people they love. This reluctance is not rooted in pride, but in love, consideration, and a desire to maintain dignity. Take Hubert, an 84-year-old widower. As an example, he once spent weekends with his daughter's family, enjoying the laughter of grandchildren and lively conversations. Over time, his mobility began to decline, and he found himself declining invitations more frequently. "I don't want them rearranging their lives for me," he explained. Though his family never made him feel unwelcome, Hubert's deep sense of responsibility and love made him reluctant to impose. His silence became a way of protecting both his loved ones and himself. From the perceived weight of dependency, psychologists note that this behavior is a natural response to aging. Seniors have often spent much of their lives providing support, guidance, and care for others. Asking for help or sharing personal feelings may feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. There is a quiet tension. The more you need, the more you worry about being a burden. Over time, avoiding disclosure becomes a form of emotional self-preservation. However, this fear can mask an important reality. Loved ones often want to help and be present. Family and friends typically derive joy and fulfillment from caring for seniors, even in small ways. The challenge is balancing independence with connection, ensuring that needs are voiced. Seniors may begin to experiment with sharing feelings selectively, choosing moments and people where empathy and attentiveness are guaranteed. Even small disclosures can strengthen bonds, reduce feelings of isolation, and reaffirm the mutual trust that defines meaningful relationships. This reluctance to burden others is also connected to the desire for emotional control. By holding back, they maintain autonomy, shielding themselves from stress or disappointment. Yet, silence is not always necessary. It can open the door to intimacy and reciprocity. Avoiding emotional sharing is common, but often rooted in love, wisdom, and emotional intelligence. As people age, social dynamics naturally shift, influencing the way seniors share their feelings. Over the years, friendships evolve, family structures change, and some relationships gradually fade. Friends may move away. Health challenges can limit social interactions, and life priorities often shift. As a result, the social circles that once provided constant companionship and emotional support may shrink. This reduction is not a reflection of indifference or coldness. It is a natural consequence of the life course. Ella, a 79-year-old retired school teacher, provides a vivid example. In her earlier years, she enjoyed engaging in long conversations with her grandchildren and neighbors, often sharing stories, advice, and laughter. Over time, younger family members became busier with work, school, and personal commitments. Though there was no intention to ignore her, Ella began to feel unseen. Conversations that once brought joy now felt superficial and unfulfilling. This gradually led her to speak less about her thoughts and feelings. It wasn't that she stopped caring. She realized that not everyone was equipped to truly listen and respond with empathy. Psychologists call this phenomenon emotional invalidation, which occurs when feelings are unintentionally minimized. dismissed, or overlooked. For seniors, repeated experiences of this kind can subtly encourage withdrawal. This is not to punish others, but to protect themselves from disappointment, frustration, or emotional fatigue. Over time, choosing silence becomes a strategy to preserve dignity and emotional well-being. At the same time, many seniors discover that smaller, more intimate connections bring greater satisfaction than maintaining a wide network of acquaintances. Selecting the right people for meaningful conversations allows older adults to invest their energy where it matters most. By focusing on these high-quality relationships, seniors can engage more deeply, provide and receive empathy, and experience a sense of fulfillment that superficial interactions often cannot provide. It's important to note that withdrawing from casual social interactions does not equate to isolation or disengagement. Rather, it is an intentional allocation of emotional resources. Seniors are learning to prioritize peace, authenticity, and reciprocity over mere social presence. Understanding these changes in social dynamics helps both seniors and their families recognize why older adults might speak less about their feelings. Such restraint often reflects wisdom, self-awareness, and emotional intelligence rather than apathy. Ultimately, changing social dynamics encourage seniors to cultivate relationships that are nurturing, supportive, and emotionally sustainable. By understanding the natural evolution of social circles, older adults can navigate aging with grace, maintaining meaningful connections while protecting their emotional health. As people age, they begin to recognize that emotional energy is a finite and valuable resource. Unlike younger years, when one could attend every social gathering, engage in endless small talk, or resolve conflicts on the fly, seniors often realize that each interaction consumes energy. Emotional effort is no longer limitless, and older adults become more selective about when, where, and with whom they share their feelings. Henry, a 76-year-old retired salesman, provides a clear example. Once outgoing and socially active, he thrived in large gatherings and could talk with anyone for hours. Now, he avoids events that require constant small talk, attending only those that feel meaningful. "I'm tired of talking just to talk," he admits. For Henry, conserving emotional energy is not about avoiding people. It is about choosing interactions that bring joy, understanding, and authenticity. Psychologists describe this process as selective allocation of emotional resources. Over decades, seniors become highly attuned to which relationships are fulfilling and which are draining. Social interactions that previously felt trivial can now lead to emotional exhaustion, irritability, or even subtle feelings of emptiness. By prioritizing meaningful connections, seniors preserve their mental and emotional well-being while avoiding unnecessary stress. This selectivity also enhances the quality of relationships. When seniors invest their energy in fewer but deeper connections, they can listen more attentively, respond with empathy, and engage fully. Instead of spreading themselves thin, they cultivate bonds that are emotionally nourishing, reciprocal, and sustainable. Importantly, choosing where to expend emotional energy does not mean withdrawing from life. It is a conscious, deliberate strategy to maintain balance, dignity, and inner peace. Silence in certain settings is not a sign of apathy, but a protective measure that allows seniors to engage authentically in relationships that truly matter. Ultimately, recognizing the value of emotional energy is an essential aspect of aging with wisdom. By understanding their limits and making intentional choices, seniors ensure that their interactions are enriching rather than draining. They preserve their capacity to love, empathize, and connect deeply, while avoiding the fatigue that comes from overextending emotionally. This awareness allows for a richer, more satisfying social life, where every conversation, smile, and shared moment carries genuine meaning. Cultural and generational factors play a significant role in shaping how seniors express their feelings. For many older adults, their formative years were spent in environments that discouraged emotional openness. Expressing sadness, fear, or vulnerability was often considered a weakness, especially for men. Phrases like "boys don't cry" or "keep calm and carry on" were common mantras that shaped behavior for decades. Women, too, were often expected to maintain emotional composure, balancing household responsibilities and social expectations without openly expressing frustration or dissatisfaction. These cultural lessons became deeply ingrained, creating lifelong habits of emotional restraint. As a result, many seniors carry forward these beliefs into later life. They may feel uncomfortable discussing feelings, even with close family members or trusted friends. Expressing emotions can trigger internalized fears of judgment, disapproval, or rejection. The experience of being dismissed or told to toughen up during formative years can lead to a lifelong pattern of emotional withholding. This pattern is not laziness or indifference. It is a survival mechanism that developed in response to cultural norms and social expectations. George, a 7-8-year-old retired engineer, recalls his upbringing in a small town during the 1952. Emotional expression was largely confined to private spaces, and public displays of vulnerability were frowned upon. As a young man, he learned to suppress feelings of anxiety, sadness, or disappointment to meet societal expectations. Today, George finds that even with his adult children, he often hesitates to share his true feelings. It is not for lack of trust, but because the habit of emotional self-restraint has become second nature. Psychologists describe this as a combination of learned behavior and generational influence. The socialization process of previous generations emphasized stoicism, resilience, and self-sufficiency. Seniors internalized the belief that maintaining composure, avoiding complaints, and handling problems independently were markers of strength and dignity. Over time, these beliefs shape not only behavior but also self-perception, reinforcing the idea that emotional expression is risky or unnecessary. Moreover, cultural context affects the types of emotions deemed acceptable to share. In some communities, discussing grief, frustration, or disappointment outside the family was considered inappropriate or shameful. Seniors may have been encouraged to focus on positive emotions or practical concerns rather than inner struggles. As a result, they may prioritize harmony and avoidance of conflict over emotional honesty, leading to patterns of silence, even in safe and supportive environments. These generational patterns intersect with modern social dynamics. While younger generations may value emotional openness and therapy, many seniors were not raised with these tools. The language and habits of vulnerability may feel foreign, awkward, or even uncomfortable. This can lead to miscommunication, where family members perceive distance or disengagement, while seniors are simply following deeply ingrained cultural habits of emotional regulation. Understanding cultural and generational influences is crucial for families and caregivers. It highlights that older adults' reticence is often not a reflection of lack of feeling, but a learned strategy for emotional survival. By recognizing the historical and cultural context of these behaviors, family members can approach conversations with patience, empathy, and reassurance, creating environments where seniors feel safe to open up gradually. Furthermore, cultural and generational factors interact with personal experiences and personality traits. A senior raised with stoicism, but who has faced repeated emotional invalidation, may become particularly cautious in sharing feelings. Conversely, a person who experienced encouragement to express emotions may remain more communicative. These factors combine to create a wide spectrum of emotional openness among seniors, influenced by history, upbringing, and life experiences. Encouraging emotional expression in seniors often requires gentle, consistent effort. Rather than demanding openness, families can model active listening, validate emotions without judgment, and create predictable, supportive spaces. Over time, seniors may feel more comfortable expressing feelings, even if only in small increments. Recognizing that cultural and generational conditioning shape decades of behavior helps remove frustration or misunderstanding from these interactions. In summary, cultural and generational influences are powerful forces that shape how seniors navigate their emotional lives. Decades of societal expectations, upbringing, and social norms contribute to patterns of emotional restraint, reinforced by internalized beliefs and past experiences. Understanding these influences allows both seniors and their families to approach emotional expression with compassion and awareness. Seniors' silence is not emptiness. It is a reflection of a lifetime of cultural learning, resilience, and adaptation. With patience and support, these patterns can gradually shift, allowing older adults to share their feelings safely and meaningfully, enriching relationships and enhancing emotional well-being. For many seniors, one of the most profound reasons they speak less about their feelings is the discovery of joy in solitude and inner reflection. Time alone becomes peace, creativity, and self-understanding rather than loneliness, helping them reconnect with themselves and gain clarity on what truly matters. James, an 82-year-old retired writer, once thrived in social gatherings with friends, family, and colleagues. Over time, he found constant interaction overwhelming. He began spending more time in his study, reading, writing, or sitting quietly. Far from loneliness, he discovered deep satisfaction in reflecting at his own pace. This inner reflection became a source of wisdom and contentment, allowing James to approach social interactions more meaningfully. Solitude, psychologists note, is not isolating but provides space for self-reflection and emotional processing. Seniors use it to evaluate relationships, achievements, regrets, and goals. Silence, in this context, is not withdrawal, but a deliberate and restorative practice. Through solitude, seniors recognize their emotional patterns, what brings joy or stress, and make conscious choices about where to invest their energy. Solitude also strengthens self-sufficiency and resilience. Seniors learn to regulate moods, process grief, and celebrate small joys without constant external validation. This inner mastery makes conversations more authentic when they do occur, enhancing emotional stability and confidence. Quiet time often nurtures creativity and growth. Hobbies, writing, art, music, or meditation flourish, providing outlets for unspoken feelings. These activities bring fulfillment, replacing the need to verbally express every thought while deepening life's meaning. Embracing solitude does not mean rejecting social connection. It allows seniors to engage with others from a place of abundance, clarity, and calm. Families can support by respecting quiet while offering gentle invitations. Ultimately, solitude reflects maturity, self-awareness, and emotional richness, showing that speaking less often means living more intentionally. It's important to understand that when seniors speak less about their feelings, it does not mean they are emotionally distant, uncaring, or disconnected. Often, it reflects wisdom, self-awareness, and a desire to protect emotional energy accumulated over decades. Seniors have lived through a lifetime of experiences, both joyful and challenging, and have learned to carefully manage where, when, and with whom they share their emotions. Silence, in many cases, is not emptiness. It is intentional, thoughtful, and protective. For families and caregivers, this understanding can be a source of comfort. Recognizing that a senior's quiet demeanor is often rooted in reflection and experience can shift perspectives from frustration to empathy. It helps loved ones see that older adults are not rejecting connection, but are being selective about where they invest their emotional energy. Rather than forcing conversations or demanding emotional disclosure, gentle patience and consistent support can encourage seniors to share when they feel safe and ready. Psychologists emphasize that respecting a senior's need for quiet time is a form of care. It demonstrates acknowledgement of their autonomy, validates their experiences, and supports emotional well-being. When seniors feel understood and respected, they are more likely to open up in meaningful ways. Even small gestures, listening attentively, showing interest, and creating non-judgmental spaces can reinforce the trust needed for emotional sharing. It's also reassuring to know that seniors often feel deeply, even if they express it less. Their emotional world is rich, nuanced, and informed by decades of reflection. They may choose to express feelings through actions, storytelling, art, or quiet presence, rather than verbal communication. This form of emotional expression is equally valid and meaningful, allowing older adults to maintain dignity and independence while staying connected to those they care about. Ultimately, understanding that quietness does not equal disconnection can transform relationships. Families can approach interactions with empathy and patience, appreciating the intention behind silence. Seniors, in turn, can feel validated for their choices, knowing that holding back words does not diminish their capacity to feel, love, or connect. Silence can be a sign of strength, emotional wisdom, and thoughtful engagement with life. A reflection of a life lived with intention and care. It's important to understand that when seniors speak less about their feelings, it does not mean they are distant or indifferent. Often, it reflects wisdom, self-awareness, and a desire to protect emotional energy. Accumulated over decades, seniors have experienced both joys and challenges and have learned to carefully consider where, when, and with whom they share their emotions. In many cases, silence is not emptiness. It is intentional and protective. For families and caregivers, this understanding can shift perspective from frustration to empathy. Quiet behavior often stems from reflection and life experience, not rejection of connection. Instead of forcing conversations, gentle patience and consistent support can encourage seniors to open up when they feel ready. Seniors still feel deeply and may express emotions through actions, storytelling, art, or quiet presence rather than words. Silence does not equal disconnection. It often reflects strength, emotional intelligence, and thoughtful engagement with life. Recognizing this helps families create safe spaces, respect seniors' choices, and appreciate that holding back words does not diminish their capacity to feel love or connect. In summary, there are many valid reasons why seniors may speak less about their feelings. From the weight of past experiences to fear of burdening others, changing social dynamics, the need to preserve emotional energy, cultural and generational influences, and the joy of solitude, each factor contributes to a natural, thoughtful, and often protective approach to emotional expression. This does not indicate indifference or emotional decline. Rather, it reflects wisdom, self-awareness, and decades of learning how to navigate life's complexities. Understanding these reasons helps families and caregivers approach seniors with empathy and patience. Instead of interpreting silence as distance, it can be seen as a choice rooted in reflection and intentionality, creating safe, supportive spaces for conversation, showing genuine interest, and validating feelings without judgment encourages meaningful sharing. While respecting autonomy, small gestures, attentive listening, and gentle presence often have a greater impact than prolonged conversations. For seniors themselves, recognizing the value of quiet reflection and selective sharing can be empowering. It validates their approach to emotional energy, allows them to preserve dignity, and enables them to engage deeply in relationships that truly matter. Silence can be a form of self-care, introspection, and emotional stewardship, demonstrating strength rather than withdrawal. Ultimately, emotional expression in later life is not measured by the quantity of words spoken, but by the quality of interactions, the intentionality behind sharing, and the depth of connection. Families and seniors alike benefit from understanding that less frequent verbal expression often accompanies profound emotional richness. By honoring these choices, nurturing supportive environments, and approaching relationships with compassion, seniors can continue to feel connected, valued, and understood, enjoying meaningful bonds while maintaining emotional well-being.